We're just getting started. We're not even tip of the iceberg here. So, so let's just, I'm going to hand it over to Rodney. Someone just told me that my mic is making too much noise. Is it for you, Rodney? Is my mic loud?
You got a lot of background noise, but it's okay.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm turning it over to Rodney, who sounds crystal clear. Go ahead, Rodney. Take it from here.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. I appreciate that intro. Joe's a partner of a good friend of mine, Bob Sager, and Bob and I have actually done business all over the world together for many, many years. And it was a pleasure to meet with Joe when he came in. He's got a lot of solar experience, and so it's interesting to compare notes selling solar in Salt Lake City. I really got into this on accident. My brother introduced me to solar. I had built a company that had expanded internationally and had sold it a couple of years ago, and hadn't really picked up a new project. And he had started to work in the solar industry and got me interested in it. And I started to go out just selling like anybody else. And last June, I went out and started sizing systems. I made $20,000 in commissions in my first month, and I thought it was pretty good. And so I started to go out the next month, and I did the same thing, and I made about $40,000. And by my third month, I really hit it hard. I drove all over meeting with people every day and made a couple $100,000 in a 30-day period selling solar. And I was able to do that, not because I was a solar expert, but because I had the advantage of having the system that Evlar's put together. It's an automated bid system that allows me to go in and become a solar expert and size the system really super quickly. And within an hour, show somebody how a solar system would affect their energy payments and be able to get them installed and contracted right there on the site in a single sales visit. And so that power was kind of something that I leveraged. The system made me an expert, and I was able to go from person to person to person as quickly as possible. And I found that people are super interested in solar energy. If you get it from an industry perspective, solar is absolutely exploding right now. It is creating 1 in 50 jobs nationally, and it's creating the most jobs of any sector in the economy. Solar is super, super hot. The reason is we basically created energy using fossil fuels for the last 100+ years. And we all understand that that's not a sustainable strategy. Fossil fuels are not renewable. They're finite in resources, and so they're not something that we can continue to use year after year after year. And the industry has really moved because of climate change and because people demanding a renewable energy source for their electricity. And we've seen a lot of news reports around climate change and things that fossil fuels are doing. We're also reading a lot of news reports about the industry of solar energy and how it's expanding really quickly right now, especially in rooftop solar for residential people. Homeowners are now able to take advantage of the fall in prices of the equipment itself. And if you look at the screen right now, the left-hand side of this chart shows an orange graph. That's the cost of the equipment. In terms of the cost of the equipment for the amount of energy that they produce. And as you see that orange line fall, you see it crosses where the blue line, and that's the number of systems being installed, measured by megawatts. And so you can see that the price has come down to the point that installations have now started to explode. Now, globally, the capacity of solar energy is actually very, very recent. And let me just walk you through this. Solar energy is measured in metrics. So you have a watt, 1,000 watts is a kilowatt, 1,000 kilowatts is a megawatt, 1,000 megawatts is a gigawatt. And if world installed capacity of solar energy by 1999 was only at 1 gigawatt globally. So very, very small. Just from 1999 to 2012, just a 13-year period, it went from 1 gigawatt to 100 gigawatts, with 31 of those gigawatts being installed in the year of 2012. Now, it took 13 years to get to 100 gigawatts, but it only took 3 more years. Mid-2015, we hit 200 gigawatts installed. And so you can see the rate of installation is increasing dramatically over the last couple of years. And that probably makes sense because you're probably seeing rooftop solar go on in homes right now in the area that you live in. It took 40 years to get 1 million rooftops on residential homes installed in the United States. They predict, just like you saw in the global capacity of installed capacity for solar, rooftop capacity took 40 years to do the first million rooftops and 2 years for the next million. Now, what's interesting about that is for every million rooftops represents somewhere between $25 and $30 billion in revenue. And so that's the dramatic driver that is making such a huge opportunity within solar right now. Another big piece of it is population size. If you look at this state, this map of the United States is color coded according to the number of megawatts that are being installed by state. The darker the blue, the more solar that's being installed basically in that area. You can see that it's kind of a southeast and a southwest phenomenon right now in the United States. It's super, super early in terms of the life cycle of solar, but there's more being installed in the south and the west than there is in the northeast. What's interesting is if you look on that map, the entire area of the northeast represents geographically a small area, but it actually is also a very densely populated area. And that's one of the factors that's driving the growth right now in basically an untapped market called the Northeast. Connecticut's about 3.6 million people. Massachusetts about 6.7 million. New Hampshire, 1.3 million. Rhode Island's kind of small, but it's sandwiched in there with 1 million people. New Jersey's 8.9 million, and New York is 19.75 million people, totaling almost 55 million people in a very small section of the United States. That geographical area could fit in many, many states. And so you see a densely populated area. Another thing that's driving the opportunity in the Northeast right now and why we're so excited to be expanding there is this graph that shows grid parity. In this grid parity graph, it basically means that you could pay more for your power using solar or less, depending on what the local utility rates are where you live. If you look to the right of this graph, it shows positive grid parity, and those states that are listed means that if you were to transition to a solar power solution right now, it would cost you on a monthly basis a little bit more than it's currently costing you to buy power at the local utility company. The people to the left, the states to the left, are those that have a net savings on their monthly bill right now, or negative grid parity. And if you look at those states, all the states in the Northeast are represented where you would actually have a monthly savings if you transition to creating your power through a solar system rather than renting those kilowatt hours from a local utility. So that negative grid parity is also driving the adoption of solar in the Northeast, where there's once again nearly 55 million people. Another one of the great values that's driving the adoption of rooftop solar residentially right now is the income tax credits being offered by the state and federal government. The federal government is currently offering 30% in the form of an income tax credit, and New York State's offering 25% of the value of the system, maxed out at $5,000. When you combine these two powerful income tax incentives, it creates a huge boom for the homeowner, where the government's actually paying a significant portion of the cost of the system for you to generate your power using a renewable resource like solar energy. Another thing that is creating such a great opportunity in the Northeast for us is that you're paying some of the nation's highest utility rates. If you look at this graph, ranked 1 through 10, the states that I read off in the Northeast are all represented. Hawaii is the only state on there that has a higher cost per kilowatt hour than Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, and New Jersey. And so you can see that all of those factors are creating what I call the solar tsunami. And you're going to see an actual tidal wave of people switching over to generating their power via solar energy. One of the things you have to understand before you get into solar is just how different a solar system is than buying from a local utility company. Now, if you look at a local utility company, you're just like myself. You hook up when you buy the house. You then start to pay them every single month. They come out, they read the meter. That payment lasts every single month. It lasts forever. It never stops, and it increases at a rate of about 4 to 6% every single year. So even if you use the same amount of power, you're going to be paying them more every year for that power based on the current utility structures. The great thing about solar is it has the same 3 advantages that home ownership does. It has a tax advantage, it builds equity in the property, and it has an end to the payments. That's why what we've seen take place is most people want to purchase a solar system rather than continue to have a never-ending bill with their local utility company. Now, we have put together a program that's called a grid-tied solar system. What that means is you are tied to the local utility grid, and you are entering into that with them a net metering policy. That net metering policy means that during the daylight hours, you're going to produce power by collecting sunshine and sending that power back to the grid to be stored. They act as your battery. And then at nighttime, when you're not producing any power, you pull those credits back to power your home. And that's how net metering works. The local utility company stays connected to you, you overproduce during the day, and you pull that power back at night. Now, there's a couple different ideas within solar arrays that are called old technology and new technology. The old technology, and a lot of you have heard about this, is called string inverters. They hook up the panels, they connect them and daisy chain them like you would a Christmas tree strand, and they collect the sunshine and they send all that sunshine to what's represented here in a red box called a string inverter. And they invert it from direct current to alternating current. Alternating current's what you use in your house, and direct current is what the sun is sending to you. So you have to convert it from direct to alternating to be useful for you. The great thing about this is you're just inverting the power at one point, so you're not losing power. But the problem with this system is that if anything shades one of these panels, it reduces the effectiveness of all of the panels. Just like your old Christmas tree lights, when you pulled one out, the whole strand went out. That's the same as a string inverter. And so they come out with a new technology called microinverters. That's represented to the right, where you see panels that have little yellow boxes on each one of those panels. Each one of those is a microinverter and acts at the panel level. So each time you're only inverting at one time, the same advantage that you have a string inverter, but you pick up an additional advantage because each one operates independently. So if one is shaded or reduced in effectiveness, none of the other panels is affected. And so the array produces more power on the average. It also gives us the ability to measure each panel. Now, we use panels that are made by the oldest panel maker, and you heard Joe Spallino talk a little bit about that. These are US made. They're super durable. They're made by a company that's been making them for over 40 years called Solar World. And we use a triple black. It blends into the home. It's very non-intrusive, and it's very, very effective because it's so reliable. It has a failure rate that has 4 zeros in it, 0.00008%. And so they're very, very reliable. We can put them up there and they will last 35 to 40 years. They come with a 25-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. Another thing that we include in an Evlar array is what's called a Nest thermostat. And the reason that we do that is these are called smart thermostats. And they use algorithms to learn your behavior. They predict your behavior, and they save you money by making it so that they live with you as opposed to just going up by a programmable thermostat by the daytime, by the hour that you set. And so we actually have found that we save somewhere between 15 and 20% of energy. So we can really reduce the amount of energy you're using by using it smarter, by including a Nest thermostat with every Evlar solar array. One of the things that we pride ourselves on at Evlar is making sure that we provide you the lowest cost of ownership. And we do that through this peace of mind guarantee. We guarantee that we've got the most competitive products out there that can take your existing utility bill. So if you're spending about $150 a month for electricity right now, we can make your solar system be about the same, about $150, and we do that through a very, very aggressive financing system. We go out and get custom products put together that no other competitor has in the market space, and we found that to be a huge competitive advantage. And what that means for the end consumer is that we can sell you a higher quality system, a more cost per watt. That's represented here in that second line called cost per watt. If you follow that across to the loan programs, you can see that we offer the most competitive rates in the industry today at 2.99. So we can sell you higher quality equipment with a lower interest rate that shows a total lower cost of ownership to the right that's significantly lower than people selling cheaper equipment at a higher interest rate. And that's the Evlar Peace of Mind Guarantee. It's the reason that Dave Ramsey, a nationally syndicated radio host who's a financial expert, has endorsed the Evlar solution. We can make a homeowner use the same dollars they're spending currently on utilities, redirected in a smarter way that creates equity in their home and actually saves them money, tens of thousands of dollars over time. And that piece is what made me so successful so quickly in such a short amount of time, and to drive the sales that would generate that amount in commissions. Evlar technology is what made me the expert. We call it BidEx, and it takes in 3 variables that is going to make me able to size a system custom to that home based upon the roof direction, the average pitch, the utility company, and you can see then I can enter in right here in the boxes the amount every month that they pay in dollars as well as kilowatt hours. Once I enter that information into the BidEx system, It's going to walk me through a series of questions, and it's going to pull against the last 100 years of weather in that zip code. Once it does, it's going to take me to the screen where I can see a bid summary for that exact home. This is a bid summary example of an actual bid that I did in Connecticut. This system would show that the current person, represented here in the red, pays $234 on average for their power. That adds up to be over 25 years, over $143,000. Why does it add up to be so much? Because like I said, it increases at 4 to 6% per year. That's represented by the red portion of the graph in the center of the screen. If you look to the right, it says in green, $171 would be the amount that they would pay to generate that same amount of electricity, but using a solar system. So you can see there's a net savings on a monthly basis, and over the same period of time, 25 years, comparatively to the $143,000, even with an interest rate associated with it, it's just over $40,000 for a total savings. If you look at the bottom of that center there, it says $102,521. So just by generating the exact same amount of power over the same period of time, you can save $102,000, which is significant for most homeowners, which typically people will say to me, what's the catch? There's got to be some reason. It's just too good to be true. And the reason that that's possible is there are companies that have done studies now, and they found that people pay their power bill. If you go over to your friend's house, nobody ever has the power not working. The lights always work. Everyone pays their power bill. We always do. And they found that that's a very, very safe investment. And so companies have gotten into the solar game through the financing, saying, we'll pay the cost of the equipment if you'll just redirect what you're currently paying for utilities to us. Typically, it's a little bit less on the monthly basis. Sometimes it's even a little bit more. It really doesn't matter. Always over 25 years when compared, it's a significant savings for the homeowner. If you look at the lower left-hand side, it says System Details. This system is a 34-panel system that's considered 9.69 kilowatts. It has 2 nest installations. Evlar would be paid $48,762 for installing this system. The federal income tax credit for this system is 30% of the cost of the system, which equals $14,629. The state income tax here is $3,413. You can see just over $18,000 in credits equals a net liability of $30,720. If you look over to the right-hand side of the screen under Eco Benefits, it says the estimated increase in the home value, though, for putting a power plant on the roof that collects sunshine and magically makes electricity that turns on your lights and runs your house, that increased the value of your home is now worth $37,000 more. So if you have a system that's adding $37,000 in value, but you only owe $30,000 on it, means you have $7,000 in net equity. And this is where a lot of homeowners like solar and financial experts like Dave Ramsey have endorsed the Evlar solution because it's a smarter use of the same dollars for a homeowner. If you look at the $171, let's just say that that's on average with the connection fee, it's $200 a month. That's about $2,400 in a year. Let's say that you do that for the next 5 years and you want to move. So $500 or $2,400 in a year would be about $12,000 over a 5-year period. If you took $12,000 off the net amount there in the lower left-hand corner, you would have $18,000 left on it. But you would be selling the home now for $37,000 more, minus the $18,000 that you owe on it, and you have got yourself a $19,000 net equity event when you sell the house for having a solar system. Well, what makes up the $19,000 that you're getting? Well, in effect, you're getting a portion of that $171 a month that you've been paying in. And so you're developing an equity event in your home by paying your utility bill. If you sold your home in 5 years now, the local utility company is not going to pay you one dime of that $234. And that's where people are starting to see that solar makes financial sense. It produces the same amount of power that you're currently paying for using the same dollars that you're directing right now to a utility company, but spending them in a smarter way to build equity in your own home. The great thing that we have right now is a pre-launch going on in New York, and that is just absolutely exploding Evlar's launch into the New York area. We have blown through all the projected sales for the pre-launch period, and I can tell you things have only picked up and gotten even more exciting as each week we've had more and more people joining the solar tsunami. Right now, when people purchase a solar array through Evlar, we're offering what's called a free year of power. So the homeowner, that $171 that they'd be paying every month, Evlar would actually pay that for the first 12 months. All we ask is that you give us 3 referrals that sit down and let us size the system for them as well. And give you a nice online review and a little sign in the yard. And that helps us develop a large pipeline of business in a short amount of time. It's paid out very, very well. Now, that translates for you in a sales perspective with an opportunity to make even more money. And making 6 figures with Evlar is super, super easy. You make it on a per kilowatt basis. So each system that you size in a home will have a kilowatt associated with it. And that amount of kilowatts is what determines your commission. And we pay out $250 per kilowatt for the person who makes that sale. So on an average sale of 8 kilowatts, that's about $2,000. I used it here for this example, 6 kilowatts as the average sale size. So if you have $250 times 6 kilowatts, you would see that that's an average of $1,500. If you were able to do just 2 sales a week, that's represented here in the lower bubble that shows 8 sales in a month, 2 per week. That would equal, at 6 kilowatts on the average, $12,000 every single month, $3,000 per week. And so you can see it doesn't take a lot of sales to make a lot of money in terms of commissions and dollars in solar. And that is what's making so many people want to get into this. As homeowners are transitioning from renting kilowatt hours at the utility to buying systems that are solar arrays to generate their own power and increase the equity of their home, that transition is going to be one of the largest transitions we see in our lifetime, and is what's driving so many people to get into the market today. Now, let's just say that you can't do 2 every single week. You're not quite as consistent as most people. You can only do 2 one week and 1 the next. So 3 sales in a pay period, 6 sales in a total in a month still equals $9,000 in a month, which is still over $100,000 a year. Only selling 6 systems a month, which is super, super easy. When I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars in a month, I was doing 6 sales in a day. So it's not something that you have to talk homeowners into. What I found with people is that when you present to them a custom system that generates the same amount of power that they're using right now, and you can show them how it makes financial sense on a monthly basis and how it increases the value of their home, most people want to sign up right away. And that's what we've developed, is a system to be able to help you to learn how to size systems and sell very, very quickly, make you a solar expert overnight using our BidEX system. Now, we also have an additional benefit to help you get leverage, because I think that there is a huge transition happening, and if you want to capture most of it, you want to have a team and not just be a single person. And so we have developed what we call a solar brokerage firm. And so you can qualify to be a solar broker by just becoming good at selling and sizing systems and contracting homeowners and helping them transition into solar. By doing that, you do 8 sales for 3 months in a row. We consider you very proficient, and we allow you to become a solar broker qualified person. What that means is if you wanted to start a team and train them how to do the exact same thing, you could earn a profit share or an override on every single kilowatt that they sell. And you can earn a kilowatt override on people that they enroll, and you can earn even a profit sharing override on people that they enroll. And so you can see that represented here in the graphic below. You can start off, you can make $250 for every kilowatt you personally sell, and then you could make $50 a kilowatt on every one that you personally recruit, $50 on every kilowatt they personally recruit, and $10 a kilowatt on everyone that they personally recruit. And this has created a model for people to create crazy incomes. And we're already seeing that play out, where people are making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month just in developing teams, mentoring people, and teaching them how to be efficient at going out and sizing systems for homeowners. And it's super, super easy. Under this example, I showed a scaling of just, you will know 3 people who know 3 people who know 3 people. That's a team of 27 people. The overrides in that scenario that I just described on a monthly basis of each person only doing 1 sale a week would be over $20,000. Your commissions on your own would be $6,000. And so if everyone was just doing one a week, not two a week, it would be a $27,000 event every single month. And that's what makes this so exciting. Now, we also have a really cool promotion going, and that is for people who sell 500 kilowatts personally in a year, the year of 2017. We're taking an all-inclusive trip next early of 2018 to the Banyan Tree Resort in Cancun, Mexico. This is a cool place. It's considered the Venice of Mexico. It's got little waterways where your little huts are connected and you kayak back and forth between. And so all the highest producers will be there. It'll be an incredible trip and something most people right now are really trying to drive for. 500 kilowatts is, like I said, it's about 7 sales on average of 6 kilowatts a month. So it's just right under that. So you'd make, if you were to do your 8 sales every single month, you'd easily qualify for this trip, as well as make the $144,000 in commissions. So it's a great deal. Now, if you want to do this, if you want to learn how to become a solar expert, if you want to get into the solar tsunami, become proficient, start your own solar broker, and teach people and get a team to leverage, the first step for you to do is join us to become a certified solar consultant. We do this on a Saturday. Well, actually, next one is on a Friday, May 5th in Uniondale, New York. You see the link right here where it's summit.evlar.com. If you go to that, you can register for the class. It has a slight fee to it that reserves your spot and gets you all of your equipment and your material so that you can walk out of that class. It's about an 8-hour long process, but you'll walk out with your credentials for the software. We'll size the system together. You'll get your backpack and your brochures and everything so that you can walk out of there and go size systems immediately. And then we have mentors that will walk you through the first few of your 5 solar appointments so that you can become really, really good at it. And when you get done with those 5, you'll be really proficient, ready to go on your own. And then you just continue to go from there. Once you become very proficient on doing it alone, you can start a team. And so join us May 5th. Joe, I'm going to unmute the line here. And so if you have anything that you want to say, that's it, Joe. That's the end of the presentation.
Great. Hey, Rodney, awesome job. Rodney covered a lot of the great stuff, but there's even more that, because it was only 30 minutes. You know what we also do, Evlar does, we do commercial, flat roofs. I know some of you solar guys have had obstacles in Queens and flat roofs. You know what I did today? I spent the day calling high schools. I got 2 high schools on the phone that talked about. I was only on the phone 2.5 hours. One guy told me his monthly bill is $30,000 to $40,000 a month. The next guy told me it's $100,000 a month. I'm meeting with them next week. That's a slam. I didn't even calculate the commission on it because I don't want to. I don't want to weep for joy yet because I want to put that in my pocket first. But we have such a huge opportunity. Commercial is unlike anything because it's like doing 100 homeowners in one shot. So, hey, you guys were firing questions at me during the thing. I will talk to you tomorrow, or I'll call you after we hang up. But I'm super excited. I'm more excited than I was at the very beginning of solar. As you guys all know, I hit the ground running and had an awesome first year. This year is going to dwarf everything I've ever done because of our brokerage opportunity to create a team. So, guys, thank you for being on the call. Rodney, thank you so much for making yourself available. I'll talk to all you guys later. Have a great night.